All right, we are live on YouTube as we join our daring heroes, or in this case, our terrified victims, for Call of Cthulhu. And do we want to join them as they're already en route? Do you want to boarding the train sequence, or do you want to pick up on the train? What do you guys say, Renee and Samuel?
I would say on the train.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm with on the
just,
train as well.
yeah, sitting there and just rolling along, waiting for something to happen or not.
All right, perfect. And indeed, it is on a train that we find our heroes. And this is a train that is rolling through the high mountains of the Himalayas, uh, creeping along the precipices of these mountainsides, and delving further into the unknown regions of Bactria and Sogdia, north of the Hindu Kush, is a beautiful panorama in the mountains, but they seem to loom high and menacing above you. The snow that whips by the windows is most oppressive. It seems to cling to the windows as if clawing fingers, and these tendrils of frost uh, growing across the glass panes. And of course, this makes you realize how isolated this line is, that it is in the middle of nowhere, as we've said, far north of India, far west of Asia, far east of Europe. So tell us now, how are your investigators comporting themselves on this journey through the menacing mountains of Malice? And what has brought them here to this most remote and dark corner of the world?
Well, Arthur Belmont is an anthropologist and adventurer at heart. After facing many horrors during the First World War as an officer stationed in North Africa, he has now devoted his life to learning about other cultures, the more primitive one, the better. He is sitting on the train, looking outside, sipping his scotch, waiting for his arrival, just lost in his thought, and his hand resting on his stomach, but his finger are gently caressing the the handle of his 1911 Colt that has never left his side since his last battle during the World War. And he just passed time there and he's just waiting, drinking his scotch.
All right,
So,
and what about?
so Matthias Terenbaum is a professor, or so he says, anyways. He hasn't really decided, what he's going to do with his profession of professing. But he's sort of half paying attention to the newspaper he's reading and half like looking outside. So, the view is great, but he's sort of seen this stuff before in like textbooks. So it doesn't impress him as much as if, he hadn't actually ever seen this stuff before. So, he's just reading up on any local news in the newspaper.
All right, and that news, has been transmitted. This is probably a British periodical that's been transmitted eventually through to you. So it's weeks old by the time it reaches you here at the edge of the earth. But still catching up on civilization, civilized news, and the mountains, as I said, rolling by the windows. You two just being quiet and calm, patient. Your minds casting forward to the end of the journey. This is usually kind of a boring, um, transition, from one point of interest to the other, as picturesque as the mountains are. It is, perhaps watching as the sun slowly sets behind the mountains, and as they touch the mountains, night descends very quickly as the shadows of those peaks are cast over your train. As you can hear the rustling and the bustling of the wheels, the engine in front of you, but those shadows just growing longer, and the moon coming up, casting these long blue shadows over the white snow of the mountains. So maybe you're, dozing, letting the silent rhythm kind of lullaby you into sleep. Can I get you both to make a spot hidden test, though, if you're looking out the window at all, as you said that you are, Renee?
We have to get under the number, right?
Yeah. So roll a D100.
Yep.
And then whatever your skill is, you want to roll below that. So if it's 45, you want to roll a 45 or lower to succeed. And that, of course, means you have a 45% chance of success.
I got it.
I succeed as well.
Perfect. So you're both kind of dozing off. Maybe the sun has gone behind the mountains. The moon is out. The snowscape is whizzing by. The high crags above. The stars have come out. The train is gently rocking back and forth, rolling along. And the droning of the wheels, the engine, it's very relaxing. But as you round this mountain pass, you're coming now into an area of snowfall. At first, very light, just a few fluffy snowflakes coming to land on your window pane and melting gently. And then more and more seem to pile on. And as I said, the frost starts to accumulate around the windows. And soon it seems like you're whizzing through a blizzard, as if the mountains had held back this storm, but rounding them, you have driven into the heart of it. And you have to wonder, is the wind really roaring this strongly, or is this just the speed of the train creating an illusion? But soon it seems like the train itself is rocking in the wind, a discordance against the usual gentle flow of travel. And you could see, some of your fellow passengers maybe look a little worried. It is, of course, a new line, the track recently laid through these ancient mountains here on the edge of the world. And as you're, looking out, you can see movement on the mountains. You have to wonder, is this the snow shifting with this wind and accumulation? Are boulders rolling down the mountainside? Or is it something more? And you both separately seem to think that some of these boulders rolling down these dark mountains, they don't behave in a normal fashion. They're moving laterally. One of them seems to move down and then back up the mountainside. You have to wonder, is this the power of the wind and the storm? Or is it something animate?
Damn, that scotch is rough.
And what is your character's reaction to this sudden storm whipping up, Samuel and Renee? Are they awakened, or do they kind of drift off anyways? Are they concerned?
My character Archer is still awake. He's What is saying outside? He put that more on the back of the scotch is drinking more than what's really happening or think is happening. But he's not worried too much because he's seen other stuff when he was at war. So for him, just a train getting rocked by some wind or snowfall is just. I've seen worse. But damn, that scotch.
What about you, Renee? These strange shapes moving on the mountainside here in this blizzard. What's the reaction of Professor Terenbaum?
Matthias is a little concerned about the movement of the snow, especially. Like, I've never seen snow move like that. What's going on? But for now, everything seems okay, even though the train is rocking a little bit. So he mostly seems like he's a little concerned, but other than that, it's not too big a deal to him.
All right. And I'll also
he does put down the newspaper, though.
So he's paying more attention to the outside now than the newspaper.
Yes,
yeah, I'm putting my scotch down. I'm taking a cigar instead, and I've drank enough.
All right. I'll get you both to make listen checks as well.
Failed.
I find the skill.
Third column.
Yeah, I see it. Failed.
All right. So yeah, you're lighting your cigar, Samuel, and Professor Tenenbaum, you're setting your paper down, looking out. So Professor Tenenbaum, you probably see then as you're looking up, looking around at the mountainside, what you can see through the darkness and the snow, in the starlight, in the moonlight. So you more than your companion would have just a second to brace yourself as you look up and you see this wall of snow falling and rolling and crumbling down towards the train. You have just a moment for the word to flash through your mind, avalanche, and then it hits the train. For a second, your window is completely whited out. You can feel the train teeter, and then it rolls over off the tracks. There's a horrible grinding noise, and then a crash, and the train car itself is rolling end over end. So there's tremendous chaos, pain, and panic. And I'm trying to think what would be an appropriate test, if any, to not take any damage or to determine how injured you might be from that. I'm not sure that there is any kind of relevant test. So yeah, I'm thinking, how about we make dexterity tests just to see how you're able to brace yourself in this. And maybe Samuel, if your character is very drunk, he could get a bonus because drunks notoriously ragdoll in any kind of crash, which is good. That's actually the safest thing to do is to ragdoll. So if you want to apply a 10% bonus, I think that would possibly be apt.
I succeeded anyway, so after he stands up, he still has his cigar in hand. Or, damn! That was tough.
Is his cigar still lit?
Maybe not lit, but it's still there.
All right.
We're trying to roll under, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I passed.
All right, perfect. Now I think you should both probably still take a D4 damage from the train car rolling down the mountainside with you inside. So a D4 damage as you made your tests. Other passengers will be significantly more injured if they failed. So do you want me to roll, or you guys can roll your own damage? What do you prefer?
Either or works for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if I had to roll, I roll a 1, which in this case is good for you. You only take 1 damage each.
Good.
And part way through that rolling, the lights on the train, the electric lights go out, and then you're in darkness, rolling down the mountain, unaware of what is up or what is down, objects bouncing off of you, people screaming. This is probably a traumatic enough event to make a sanity test. I believe, it's something that could result in post-traumatic stress. So if you guys want to make sanity tests, which is just a percentage roll against your sanity score.
Nope,
I failed.
I
All
don't
right.
have a sanity score. That's weird. I forgot that.
Let me see how is that sanity score generated.
Yeah.
That should be easy to look up. In theory, let me see here.
Always in theory.
I just used the autofill character sheet from
Yeah, me too.
Chaosium.
But strangely, equal to power. Okay. Okay. So power. Oh, that's gonna be good. Easily. Very easily.
All right. And I'll leave it up to you guys on a success. If you want to take 0, 0 points, that's fine. I might recommend you still take 1 point of sanity damage because it is so traumatic. But I'll leave that up to you. On a success, it's not really a big deal. But you find yourselves in the dark. The temperature has dropped quite a bit. You could perhaps feel cold snow, cold air around you, but it's pitch black. You're not sure what position the train car has come to rest in at first. You could hear people moaning and crying. You think you hear a child crying somewhere. So what do you guys do? It's pitch black in here as this train car is probably buried in snow. So Renee, how's Professor Terenbaum comport himself after this?
Well, being the scholarly person, I guess you'd say, and sort of having the inclination to look out for other people, he would shout, "Is everybody okay?"
All right, and you hear, back out of the darkness, you hear people groping and crawling through luggage that's been displaced and crunching broken glass, and you hear someone call back to you, "Help! My leg is pinned! Help!" And you hear someone calling to you through the darkness in this confined space of the train car.
So I'm gonna head over in the direction of the voice that I heard calling for help.
All right, so you're crawling through pitch darkness here, crawling over chairs and luggage. Yeah, you're loud enough, Sam. You as you're feeling around in the dark, you think the train car has come to rest almost on its roof because it's fairly smooth surface that you're traveling over. And then suddenly, as you're crawling, your hand comes down into snow, and you could feel just a trickle of snow as if maybe a window has come to rest above you, and snow is just kind of pouring in. But you crawl through the snow towards the shouts of this person, and then you feel someone groping in the dark, and he grabs onto you, and he's holding tightly onto your clothes, and he's almost yelling in your ear, "Help! My leg is pinned! Help me!" And he's panicked. So what do you do, Renee? You found this injured person. You can't see him in the dark, His voice sounds deep and gruff.
I'm just gonna say, well, okay, I understand that you're in a little bit of distress here. I'll see what I can do to help you get out of this situation.
All right. And what do you do to try to help him?
So I'm gonna sort of like feel around and see if I can find his leg in the darkness and feel the whatever's pinning it.
All right. Make a dexterity test.
Sure. Yeah, that's a fail.
All right. So as you're groping in the dark, you feel his torso, you feel down his body, down his thigh, and just before you're expecting to find his knee, um, you actually come upon like a cold steel bar, and your groping hand comes away wet, as if with warm fluid, probably blood, although it's pitch black. And as your hand has touched this wet, hot, bloody member, you hear the man cry out in horrendous agony. And then he shudders and kind of goes limp. So it feels to you as you're feeling around, his leg has come out the window and the train has landed on top of his leg. And it's completely mangled. And when you touched it, it it hurt him so badly that he's passed out from the pain.
Oops.
And he's bleeding quite profusely. You're not sure that you think he's in mortal danger just from the blood loss, if nothing else. So what's your reaction to this? He's now passed out. He's gone limp. His legs horribly mangled. There's blood seeping out, and it's pitch black here.
Well, my reaction is that I don't really have much I can do here. So I can't. I'll say, even though he's passed out, hey, I can't really do much here. I'm sorry.
All right. Can I get you to make a listen test, Renee?
Yep. I passed.
All right. So as he's passed out, he's been yelling for help, and as he passes out, he slumps down, and there's this eerie silence just for a moment, and you think you can hear a strange sound, a far off, trilling, moaning, kind of musical sound far off, and then the howling of the wind kind of muffles that out. So you're almost sure, you're pretty positive you heard something, but you can't explain what exactly you're hearing. We'll actually jump over to Sam, if you don't mind, Renee. So you've got this injured person. Sam, you're just kind of coming to. The train has rolled over. It's pitch black. It's very cold. Some of the windows have broken. Snow may be coming in. People are groping around in the dark, moaning and crying out for help. What do you do?
Okay, first thing he does when he comes to, he grabs his hat.
All right.
Puts it on his head, and since it's totally black, he gets out his lighter, lights it up, try to see what's happening around. Can I do a survival check to see how much danger we're in, if it's possible for the snow to get inside the train or something like that?
Absolutely.
And it's a success.
All right. So as you turn your lighter on, there's just this tiny amount of light. It's flickering. It's casting these deep shadows around, and you can see the train car is upside down. Luggage and people are sprawled all around. But right in front of you, perhaps startlingly close as the light comes on, there's a small child, like a 7-year-old boy, who's kind of on his knees, hands and knees, looking around in the dark. The light comes on. He looks at you. There's just a trickle of blood coming down from his hair, but he appears mostly uninjured. And he's like shocked into silence. But yes, in addition to that child, with your survival test, you can see that snow is coming into some of the windows. The temperature is rapidly dropping. So you're definitely in danger of hypothermia. It appears the train car is buried. So, you could eventually be in danger of asphyxiation. There's no air circulation. You don't know how deep the car might be buried. You might have to tunnel for some time to get out. You really can't determine that at this point.
Okay, so first thing I do when I see the kid, he's in shock. I keep checking around. Then I go back to the kid. Come on, son. Come here. Come closer to the light. You're going to be better, man.
So looking at the child, you can see that he's on all fours. And his hand, you see, is actually clutching another hand. You can see that it's a woman's arm. And unfortunately, the woman it belongs to, it looks like her neck has been broken in the crash. Her head is twisted at a horrible angle. She's not breathing. But the child is still clutching onto this woman's hand.
Okay, so with my lighter, I make some slight move, kind of hypnotically try to keep his attention on me so he doesn't see the woman with the broken neck.
Mm-hmm.
And come, here you're gonna be much warmer. I've got my clothes close by. Come, I'll help her afterwards. Come, child. Come on,
right,
son.
So he seems catatonic. He's not speaking, but he is following your instructions. So maybe, you break open a suitcase. You start trying to find some warm clothing. Get a sweater on this kid.
Usually there's blankets in those trains. So I try to grab a blanket that would be around somewhere and put it around the kid and making sure he doesn't see the woman. And I try to put something on her so he doesn't see her afterward.
Absolutely.
And as I look around and see other passengers starting to move, I tell people, all right, folks, be careful. We're under the snow now, so try not to move too much in the cart so we don't get buried much deeper and the snow doesn't get in. That would not be nice.
All right. And I'm thinking you two are in the same train car. The child is the only other one alive, other than that man with the pinned, busted leg. And there's maybe the woman is dead, and there's maybe one other unconscious figure, and that's probably it. It was not a very packed train.
Okay. So but I see the professor though, so I try to
so you see each other. You can probably hear shouts, but they're from other train cars. So in your car, there's the two of you, the kid, an unconscious woman, a few corpses, and then the man with the pinned leg. So what do you two do as you kind of see each other in this the light from your lighter?
Well, as soon as he
need help, buddy.
Maybe. I think this guy is like half dead or something. He doesn't look too good.
Can I make what is it? Not medicine, but first aid check to see if it's beyond any possible salvation for this man?
Yeah. Roll first aid.
Flush. Got it flush.
All right. So you can go and use a belt to make a tourniquet around his leg to stop the blood loss.
So I do that. You would not happen to have a bone saw by any chance?
Not on me, no.
Oh, well, who knows? Sometime. Maybe I got my knife.
All right, so you've tourniqueted his leg. There's not much else you can do as far as first aid. You really are not sure if he'll survive or not. He's already lost a lot of blood. The snow around him is soaked with blood. It's red and saturated. You could put some blankets on him. He's gone into shock, so try to keep him warm.
I find a bottle of whiskey or something.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, he's unconscious. No, never mind. Well, maybe for me.
Yeah. So you've tourniqueted his leg. You've got this child with you. There's an unconscious person. What are you doing, Renee, while Samuel is tourniqueting that man's leg?
He looks like he knows what he's doing, so I'm just going to give him some space and, let him do his thing.
Yeah, I gave him the info about the fact that we have to be careful about the snow on the sides so it doesn't get more inside the cart, and try not to move it too much because we do not know how precarious our situation is, since with their crevasse and big cliffs and stuff like that. We don't want to roll down one of those. So yeah, be careful about that. Try to see if there's other survivors somewhere, and if you can, get me a bottle of whiskey or cognac, maybe. That would be nice.
Speaking of our current situation, have you had a look at the rest of the train? Do you think the rest of the cars are still attached, or what's going on with that?
I haven't seen much yet, but well, from what I can see, we seem to be still attached to the rest, which is in some ways good, but some others pretty bad, because if one of those carts go down a cliff, well, we're fucked.
So yeah, at this point, I'm gonna just start moving towards one end of the car or the other, just to see, maybe if the rest of the cars are attached and what's going on in the next car.
All right. Well, all the windows that aren't shattered and pouring in snow are completely white, packed with snow, as the car has been buried. There's really no way to tell if you are attached or not. I mean, the couplings are very strong on trains, but clearly this avalanche was, massive, and the weight of a train car could tear it free of that coupling. So unless you do some experimental digging or open one of those doors, it's really impossible to say if you're still attached. Now, as you're, kind of looking around, though, you see that woman who's unconscious, not the dead woman, but there's another woman who's unconscious. She kind of starts to moan and stir as if she's waking up. And as her eyes start to flicker open, she looks around, in the very scant light provided by your lighter, and she sees the windows white with snow. She sees one of the shattered windows with the snow that's poured in, and she starts to breathe heavily. She's glancing around. She sits up. She starts shaking, and she starts mumbling, "Buried, we're buried, buried, we're buried." And then she's starting to panic. What do you guys do? This woman has woken up. She's starting to panic. What do you do?
Well, having some military experience with that kind of situation.
You shoot her.
Well, not that specific kind of situation, but I mean, people in shock due to many things. I do what people used to teach us when we did the first aid class many years ago. I go up to the woman and I slap her.
All right.
Get some sense into yourself, woman.
Make
Stop
a, I
breathing
believe
so
it's
fast.
I believe it's a psychology test to try to calm her down, unless you can think of a more relevant test. Like you said, if it's from your military or first aid training, maybe first aid would be a better test, or you have some kind of military test. I'd allow that. Whatever you want to roll to try to calm her down.
Might be more intimidate.
Sure, you could you could try to intimidate her.
Well,
long term, that won't be good.
It works. If someone is panicking, like that, a simple slap like this is enough to freeze that person. So
yeah, it can be, but make a test just to see.
I failed.
All right, so you slap her, and for a moment she stops, and then she screams like ah, and she runs. And
come on, my man. Don't let me do this again. I don't like slapping women around.
She stumbles over to one of the broken windows, and she starts digging and clawing at the snow with her bare hands, trying to dig her way out of the train car. And she's only wearing like a fairly light dress, and she's digging in snow with her bare hands, covering herself in snow in the process of digging. So she's lowering her body temperature dangerously.
I put a blanket on her and tell her, "Good job. That's the way out."
What's Renee's reaction?
My reaction is to sort of look at the other guy like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm gonna try and physically restrain this woman. Like, "Hey, that's not a good idea. You're gonna get yourself killed doing that."
Oh, I think we lost our DM. Oh, okay. I thought you froze.
Yeah, I had a little disruption. I didn't catch the last little bit of what you said, Renee.
All I said was, "Hey, you're gonna get yourself killed doing that. Don't do that."
All right, so you're restraining her and trying to reason with her then.
Yes.
So make a relevant test. I would recommend, you said psychology, but if you have a more relevant skill, just roll that instead, whatever you think.
Well, maybe persuade, if roll the highest
persuade.
of both.
I'll go with psychology because it's what I've got. And I failed.
All right, so yeah, she's not calming down. She's, if anything, she's getting more agitated as you try to restrain her. She's hyperventilating.
Let her be. She'll eventually pass out. I know. And then we can just move her aside.
Yeah, she might actually try to attack you at that point, Matthias. You know, she's like scratching and slapping and clawing. Not, you know, she's not attacking you in an intelligent way, but she's panicking, and you're trying to restrain her, and she's just trying to break free. So if you want to keep restraining her, then you know, I'll make like an attack roll, but you could just let go of her if you want.
When she starts to get really, you know, physical, I'm just gonna let her go.
Okay. So yeah, she might at that point go and like huddle in a corner and just shake and hold herself, and she's rocking and looking around, and she's muttering, you know, buried alive, we're buried alive. And she's perhaps slowly, as you said, Arthur, going to calm down at this point, but for at least a couple minutes she's just rocking to herself over there. So you could at this point maybe throw a blanket over her, and but yeah, she's a little bit psychotic at this moment.
On the plus side, unintended success. Got her to stop what she was doing.
Yeah, that's true. Got her away from the snow, which is good.
Okay. Since that's pretty much everything we can do right now, or well, I'm gonna do it in character voice. Well, since you're the only other guy here who's still has his mind about him, I say, well, maybe I should put
Are you
that
filling
out.
the train car with smoke?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm putting out my cigar. I think we're gonna conserve our oxygen for the moment. I'll keep that for later, though.
You're hotboxing the train car.
Now, what do you say? We go up or we go to the side?
Well, I'd say we go whichever way is easiest because we don't know how long we'll be here. We don't want to overexert ourselves.
Yeah, problem is we don't know how deep we are, and we don't know if we're still attached to one of those. But if we want to survive, best way is up. So I turn around, try to find my luggage, make sure I have my Lee Enfield. All right, sorry, old pal. Put my glove on the top and start jamming it into the snow. Try to break it to start digging with my rifle as much as I can.
So Arthur is starting to dig. You're digging up.
Yep.
What is Matthias doing? The woman is calming down at this point. She's got a blanket. She's starting to stop muttering to herself. She is calming down a lot. What are you doing, Matthias, while Mr. Belmont is digging?
While he's digging, I think I'm gonna try and open one of the doors to the other cars just to see if I can maybe get some sort of leeway that way.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, so moving to the far door, the window is just packed with snow. So you turn the handle, you actually, would the doors open in or out? If they open out, that would be a problem. Let's say they open in, or yeah, maybe they.
Well, I think it's kind of an accordion, but inside, this way. Like from
on modern trains, they are they're connected, but these ones are only coupled. They don't have that barrier. But I'm just trying to think how the door opens. Let's say that it slides sideways, as you suggested, Samuel.
Well, like I said, it's sideways, but it's kind of this in two pieces. They just fold on each other on the inside. I think that's how we see it when you see it in movies.
Okay. That's I haven't been on a train in a while, and I don't know very much about 1920s.
Well, I never been on a train. I just saw a movie. So
sure. But yeah, you're able to get the door open. Let's say it does open, kind of like you said. It kind of folds in into the side. So snow just pours in onto you as you've opened that door. So maybe you're like buried up to your waist in the snow, Matthias, just for a moment. And you start digging and clearing it away. And eventually you form enough of a tunnel to determine that the train car is still attached and you can get to the next car. So, clearing the window away, clearing the snow away from the window, rather, you see it seems dark in that other car. You can eventually open that door. It's a little stuck at first, but you manage to open it. And opening it's pitch black inside. Actually, let me ask, have you guys got any other lights set up at this point?
No, it's just his lighter.
Yeah. We didn't do anything else. Would there be an emergency light somewhere that we could get?
I mean, this is sort of an older style train. I don't think there would be emergency lights.
No, not that kind of emergency light, but a package with first aid and maybe a flashlight or something.
Maybe, but it might be harder to find than you would think.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's easy, but would there be one per cart? That's my question.
I don't think there would be one provided by the rail network itself.
Well,
But you
it's
guys
Chinese.
could-
It's normal. It's
Yeah.
not there. It's Chinese.
But you guys could dig around and see if you can find anything to use as a light source. Someone might have a flashlight in their bag or a lantern or something like that, or you could perhaps improvise one. But do you do that before you go through the train cars, or after, Matthias?
I would say that having another light source would be a good idea. So, I'd get to the door, I'd realize, well, wait, I can't really see anything, so I'd go and look for maybe another light source.
All right. So you open the door between the two cars. You see it's pitch black in the other car. There's just that little lighter from behind you over your shoulder, casting these long shadows inside. There doesn't appear to be any movement. So you wonder, is everyone dead in this car? Is there even anybody that was in that car? You don't even know. But yeah, you go back and you start rooting through the luggage, trying to find a light of some sort, leaving that door to the black train car ominously open behind you. I'll get you both to make a listen test at this point.
Success.
That's a success for me too.
All right. So you both hear, this kind of whistling, moaning, trilling noise. I believe, Matthias, you already heard this a few moments ago,
Yes, I did.
but this will be the first time that that you're hearing it, Arthur. So it seems to kind of whistle through from that looming empty train car behind you.
Is it something that feels menacing or strange? Something that kind of out of, I would say out of worldly, but not in the fact that my character's nose in his Cthulhu, but kind of something that would make him like go take his gun, like what the hell? Or
Yeah,
just like
it's a
maybe
very
something that someone making noise further on. I don't care. I'm just digging. I just want to know what would be my reaction.
yeah, it's a very odd, eerie, weird, otherworldly kind of sound. But at the same time, it feels strangely enticing, as if you want to listen more, as if
I get my
you
gun
want
out.
to hear the whole you want to hear the whole melody, but you can't quite hear, you can't quite catch the melody, but the sound is very strange. Yes.
Well, that's strange. I stop digging. I start to move toward Matthias. You hear that?
Yes, I do.
Any idea what that could be?
I hear it, but I don't really know what it is. It doesn't sound familiar. I've never heard it before, but I heard it just after we crashed.
Hmm. I don't like not seeing what's there. Let's find a light source.
Other than your lighter?
Yeah, something better. If we can.
That's what I've been looking for, or I'm starting to look now. So help
Yeah,
me.
and let's say that you're. Well, actually, why don't you roll a luck test?
Got it?
So yeah, roll luck to see what you're able to find as far as alternate light sources.
I passed.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect. So I'll let you guys describe, but I figure you're both able to find at least a flashlight each. If you want, with that excellent luck, you could certainly find anything in addition to that that you think would be relevant or wanted.
Warm clothes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, warm clothes. There's luggage all over the place. That's pretty much a gimme at this point.
Okay, I tried to look around. I've got my gun in hand. I put my Lee Enfield on my shoulder. Well, actually, no. I take my Lee Enfield in my hands, put my Colt in my pocket. Make sure I have my bullets just in case. Take the flashlight and want to light up the way. Take point and move forward.
So I would say that with my luck, that I found, like, say, a lantern or something. That's that. And so basically, I just picture myself holding the lantern over his shoulder just so he can see, and while he goes forward, sort of thing.
Did they have flashlight back then?
They did. They were a little bit more rare, but they did have them. Yes.
Because I would say a flashlight would be good with the luck I had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holding it under the barrel of the rifle and moving forward with that.
Yep. So one flashlight, and you, Matthias, have a lantern. So you're shining these light beams into this train car. You see, it's another passenger car. Again, a lot of chaos, a lot of disarray. There are a few corpses in there. You know, broken open luggage containers. It doesn't seem like any of the windows of this car have been broken. It is fairly cold, but there's no snow that's broken in. And as you kind of step over the threshold, I'll get you to make additional listen tests.
Just before we do that, is the
Mhm.
cold in this car sort of like unnatural, or is it more just because the train is buried under snow?
It's just because the train is buried under snow, so it's cold, but nothing that you'd find tremendously unusual for the situation.
Okay.
I passed the listen.
Okay.
I did
check.
not.
All right. So, Arthur, as you guys are coming into the train car, you know you've got your gun and you're poised, you're ready, you're looking around, you're on edge perhaps because of this noise, this weird singing, trilling noise. And as you come in, you think you can hear a scratching and a digging, a burrowing, like someone is digging through the snow. And you look, and the sound seems to be coming from the wall of the train car, like someone is outside the train car tunneling through the snow next to the train car itself. You almost hear it scratching against the outside wall of the train car.
I think I hear something from outside. That's weird. I get closer and try to listen.
The
On the wall.
noise seems to recede, like it's moved on. You are left wondering, did I really just hear that? Who would be tunneling outside the train car? I mean, it doesn't make sense, and it wasn't
I know.
very loud. So you're almost doubting if you heard it or not.
I hit a little bit with the butt of my gun just to see if it sounds hollow or
It does
if
sound hollow.
tunk, tunk. Could we? Is there a window close by?
Not on that side, but on the other side, adjacent, yes. So if you want, you could break that window open. A little bit of snow will certainly fall in.
Yeah, but I was trying to get to the closest point I could get to that hollow, probably tunnel that there's there. Actually, I move along the cart, hitting just a little bit everywhere to see where is hollow, where is not.
Mm-hmm. So as you're doing that, what is Matthias doing?
So because I didn't really hear what Arthur heard, I'm just gonna sort of follow along with what he's doing. So I'll keep lighting his way.
But
All
you
right.
do hear the difference in sound, though.
Yeah,
You
I
hear
definitely
that-
hear that it's
Yes.
hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find the quickest route to that opening outside. That could be fresh air.
Yeah, so you guys are moving around, tapping the car, listening carefully. And then you both hear from the far end of the train car, over these corpses and ruined luggage, you both distinctly hear a scratching, digging sound at the far door. And looking, you can see the door has a window. It's packed with snow. And you can see scraping, scratching. And soon you can see hands digging frantically at the window. And then you see a human face press up against the window, and a look of stark terror. The doorknob or door latch rattles for a moment, and then the face is drawn away rapidly and disappears. And that scratched window is black and empty.
That's not creepy at all.
Yeah, that's not creepy, but I rush toward the window to see what's happening. If it's someone outside trying to get us help,
Mhm.
well, let's get there.
Make a spot hidden test.
Oh, critical. 1!
All right, so great success. So yeah, you rush over, looking through that window, and you can distinctly see a man being pulled out of the train car through a window in that next train car over. You can see him clutching and grasping at the side of the window, and something pulls him out of the train, and he disappears from view. And just a little bit of snow maybe falls in through that gaping open window in that next train car.
That was weird. Quite unusual, actually. What do you think?
Did I see that too?
Not unless you also rushed up to the window to see where this man disappeared to.
No, I wasn't really in that much of a rush. I'm more unsettled by I'm more unsettled by the fact that somebody was, digging at the car. I thought basically everybody else was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say from where I was standing before he rushed off to the door, no, I didn't see that. What happened?
He was dragged off. That's strange. I move forward toward the gaping hole, but cautiously.
You open the door into that train car?
Yep.
All right. As you open the door, you can feel a distinct change in the air. You could feel there's air circulation in this train car. And you can also smell something. There's a horrible odor. Because there's air circulation, it's dissipating quickly. But you catch, just a whiff of this horrible smell. It's kind of like a rotting, guano-like methane smell but the air circulation is dissipating it very rapidly, and soon the smell kind of disappears.
That's gonna calm my nerve. So I move toward the hole again, making sure that Matthias is following. And when I get close, do I see anything particular? Maybe if I do a track check to see if there's some strange tracks or marks around.
Yeah, you can roll a track or a spot hidden, whichever you prefer.
I would have missed both anyway, so. Well, there's a hole.
Yeah. So you failed your test?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're going through, you don't see any kind of a track or trail, but you do see that this car also has a few corpses in it, and you see that one of them appears to have been like ripped open, as if they were slashed or perhaps even clawed open. Like it almost looks like an animal ripped into them, and their face is contorted in a look of stark terror. And there's blood all over this area. It looks, their hands are torn as if they were trying to defend themselves from something. So at least one person there has not died in the crash. They died in most suspicious and horrifying death.
Okay. My character suddenly, as a flash, he turns around and rushes back to the first cart where we started off to see if the boy and the woman are still there and okay.
Rushing back, I would say, yeah, the boy maybe even has been following you a little bit in his catatonia. Okay. The woman has not moved really. She's just sitting stark, silent. She's huddled in her blanket, so she is warm, but she hasn't moved at all. And the kid is kind of following you in a bit of a daze. He's keeping out of your way, but he's not leaving your side very far.
Okay, I'm going next to the woman, and I tell her, "Look, lady, think I found a way out. So be nice and follow, please."
All right. So yeah, you're able to direct her. She's also a bit catatonic. You get the feeling she kind of can see where she's going, what she's doing. She's not completely glazed over the way the child is. So you think she might recover if given a little bit of time, but she is following along with you. So you're able to lead her much as you're able to lead the child along.
Okay.
So while Arthur, or excuse me, while
Arthur.
Yes, Arthur. While Arthur's gone to check on them, what is Matthias doing? So there's this train car now. Someone in there has been torn apart. One of the windows, is broken in. There's some snow accumulated, but that's where Arthur said a man was dragged out of the train. And I don't think he investigated that hole very thoroughly.
I did not.
So what about you, Matthias? What are you doing?
First I'm gonna take a look up at the hole and see if I can see the sky or whatever.
All right. I'll get you to make either a track or a spot hidden test.
I passed.
All right. So as you're moving into this train car, you can see actually on the ground, which is actually the ceiling of the train car, but anyway, the bottom, you can see some unusual scrapes and scratches like claw marks, as if something had been clawing or slashing at the ground, which is the ceiling of the train car. And coming up to that broken window, you can see this tunnel leading up. Um, it's actually at it's at a steeper than a 45-degree angle, so it's a very steep angle up, but it is leading up. And looking around the rim of the window, though, it looks to you not like somebody burrowed up and out, but it looks like something burrowed down and into the train car through this tunnel. So it's been broken in, and there are scratches and claw marks around the outside of that hole of that window.
How tall does the tunnel look?
It goes up for quite some ways. You would estimate it's at least 30 feet up. That'd probably be your estimate. It's hard to gauge the distance, though. It's a tunnel.
Yeah, for sure.
And at this point, I'm thinking that maybe you can see like a little patch of sky at the top. It's getting to be morning at this point, so it's maybe like a orange sunrise type of light outside.
Does it look like the tunnel is stable or that it might collapse?
It looks semi-stable. You're worried it may collapse, but it's not obviously going to collapse. So you'd say if you're careful, you have a very good chance of climbing out without getting buried in snow.
I'm gonna yell out, "Hey, I think I found a way out."
Right. I'm on my way.
All right, and as soon as
Sorry,
as
I'm also
soon as-
gonna take a look at the sort of ripped apart corpse that's in this train car.
all right, there's no more detail other than what I just described. It looks like it's been slashed or clawed. Either somebody with some kind of maybe hooked knife, or else a large animal with hooked claws has torn this person open. It's most grisly, and as I said, it looks like they tried to defend themselves. Their fingers are all torn up, their knuckles are bruised, and there's a look of horror etched on the corpse's face.
Does it roughly match the claw marks that are everywhere else in the train?
Yes, it looks like the claw marks on the ground, around the window, and on the corpse all look approximately similar. So probably the same creature or the same instrument made all of these marks.
I'm gonna wait for my friend escorting the woman, and then when he gets here, I'm gonna point out the claw marks all over the place.
All right. And actually, as you call out, I think I found a way out, the woman will her eyes go wide as she starts gasping, and she tries to sprint through the train cars towards that exit.
I try to hold her, because if she climbs that up in the panic state as she is, she probably is going to bury herself and us. So I try to stop her.
All right, make a fighting test to try to grapple her and restrain her, or other relevant tests.
I think Baritsu would be quite effective.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I grab her and I pin her on the ground.
All right. So now make some kind of test to calm her down, psychology or persuade.
I'm going to try persuade. Oh, barely, but I did.
All right.
That was close.
So,
All right,
so,
lady.
yeah.
Yeah, I know it's the way out. I told you. But you got to be careful not to bury us inside. We're getting out. Just breathe, okay? Breathe. Stay calm. We're getting out. Trust
All right.
me. But don't rush it. Not yet.
Okay, so you're able to calm her down. And for the first time, sanity kind of comes into her eyes, and and you know, she really makes eye contact with you, and she says, "Thank you. We're gonna get out. Thank you."
Yeah, and by the way, sorry for slapping you earlier.
And she actually now, you know, she's pretty much calmed down at this point, and she says, "My name is Katrina Morrison."
Can I call you Cat? All right, Cat. Come on. Let's get out of here.
All right, and I assume Arthur introduces himself as well. Thank you, Arthur, for helping me. I don't know what I would do without you.
Well, you probably would die.
She looks a little scared at that prospect, but also comforted by your presence. And she'll take the child by the hand actually, and kind of take charge of that kid. And
All right. I'm gonna need you to do something, Cat. Since we're getting out and there's a lot of snow, see, we're gonna need warm clothes. And we don't know where we are, so we don't know how far we have to go. Try to get anything that could be useful outside to keep us alive and warm. That
all
should
right.
keep her busy.
Yeah, she's gonna start scavenging around, looking for clothes, food, light, anything that might be useful.
Okay, so I make my way to Matthias.
All right. Matthias, you're pointing out all these scratches and claws and everything to Arthur.
Man, what could have done that?
I'm
I
gonna
don't
try.
know, nothing I've ever seen before.
I'm gonna try maybe a track check or natural world to
Mhm.
see what kind of animal could do that.
Sure.
As if I got it.
All right. So the closest thing you can think of would be like the talons of a bird of prey, but no bird of prey is this large. Even the California condor is not this large.
Well,
Uh,
that's odd. Seems like patterns from a bird, but under snow? What the fuck? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think a bird would try and burrow in here to begin with.
Neither do I, but that's the kind of marks they would leave. You know anything else that has talons like that?
Not offhand, no.
Well, better stay sharp, pal. Who knows what's waiting for us outside?
Holy shit. You will never see people drink more. Like some shots, they chase their sausages here.
Right. So yeah, Katrina is able to scavenge, you know, some food. It's they're not exactly like trail rations. It's more like snacks, you know, candy and maybe like some, you know, crackers and pretzels and cookies and the kind of things people would have on a train.
Nuts.
To nuts, yeah, just to munch on. She may be able to find some liquor. I don't know. I don't know if she'd have.
Alright, I think you're ready.
I don't know if there'd be a lot to drink that's not alcoholic, but if you have any survival skill, you can figure out how to melt snow and such. So that shouldn't be a big issue. And yeah, lots of warm clothing, fortunately. So she bundles up the kid and she gets herself into some warmer clothes as well.
Well, we probably already had some clothes. Like I said earlier, that would get my stuff. And since I was supposed to go see tribes in their natural state.
Mhm.
Warm clothes, I probably got a lot of those.
Absolutely. So you guys are about as equipped as you could be to go out into the snow and the mountains. So do you then try to ascend that tunnel, or is there any more planning that Matthias and Arthur try to get into?
I would ask, so what's our goal once we're out of here?
Try to figure out where we are.
That's the first thing.
Then from there, we try to get back to civilization. I would suggest probably try to find back the tracks that we were on earlier and just follow them to the next city. Or
Depending
train station.
on like how severe this avalanche was, the tracks might be covered. We might be totally screwed.
Well, it's not as big as to cover 2 or 3 mountains large, but we might have to search a little bit. But we might find something somewhere. But we'll see when we get topside. Anything else you want to do? Because I'm kind of getting a little claustrophobic down here. I want to get some more fresh air. And when we go up, you want to go first or I go first? But the one who goes first has to know that the other guy is going to go last. So if you go, I stay behind and go last. Make sure the kid and the woman get topside safe.
I think I can stay behind. We'll send you up first because I take a look at you. You seem to be knowledgeable with guns. So
Talking about guns, this is my lady. My 1911 went to the war with me. Take that. You might need it for the moment.
I pull out my 38
Don't
revolver.
lose it.
I pull out my 38 revolver. I'll say I've got one of those.
Oh, nice. Good. I get to keep my lady then. All right. Everybody up. Let's go.
All right. So I'm thinking that that Arthur would probably like tie a rope around himself so that he can go up and leave this rope trailing, and then even if it's buried or if it starts to collapse, maybe he can pull them up.
Okay.
That's probably the smartest thing to try to do, at least.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Yeah, if we get a rope, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, make a climb test to see if you're able to get up there without collapsing the tunnel around you.
Got it.
Perfect. So yeah, it's not a firmly packed tunnel. It's been dug down in a fairly haphazard way. It doesn't look like human hands dug it. Every once in a while you see like the imprint that really reminds you of a talon of a bird of prey, but much larger. So it's kind of creepy to be climbing up this tunnel, apparently not made by human hands. But you're very careful not to dislodge anything and to try to pack down the walls as you go. And eventually, after about 30 feet, you come out and see, those mountains looming around you. The sun has now risen, but you're on this in this snow-packed mountain valley, and then turning around, you're able to try to assist. I guess you said Katrina and the child are going to come up next.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to roll for them, and we'll give them a plus 10% because you have that rope and you're helping them. So they're able to get up safely pretty easily. They don't weigh very much, fortunately, so they're able to get up without dislodging very much snow. And then last, Matthias, make a climb test, plus 10 because of the aid of Arthur here.
So I actually don't have that. Do I just use the base of the the base that's on the character sheet plus 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe the base is 20% success.
It's 15.
20. It's supposed to be 20. That's what I got.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I did not make it.
All right. So what did you roll?
I rolled a 63.
So so you really didn't make it.
Yep.
So Matthias, as you're using this rope and trying to climb up, the snow starts to buckle underneath you, And as it buckles, the snow above falls in, and you find yourself buried in snow. And starting, you don't immediately suffocate, but you're completely buried. It's cold, and psychologically you're going to start to smother fairly quickly. So how about you make a sanity test just to see if you can keep your cool under the circumstance, because it's a very scary thing to be buried in 30 feet of snow.
I did not make that check either.
Okay. So you're starting to panic. I'm thinking you should take a D4 of sanity damage. You want me to roll that, or should you?
You can roll it.
Okay. Got a 4, so 4 points of sanity damage. And you're panicking, so you're using up your air. You're hyperventilating. Now, Arthur, you see the tunnel collapse. You see him scrambling, and then just disappear under the snow. So
Fuck! I try to yank him out, but not too much to pull the rope away from him. See if I can get some traction. If he gets hold of it, I can try to pull him out.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it should be a strength test as you're both digging and pulling and digging and pulling to try to get to him before he smothers.
No.
How much did you fail by?
A lot.
So you're trying to pull, and you're not even bothering to dig. It's just not a smart way to save something.
Not now.
Yeah.
After, but I just saw it collapse, so I'm just trying to pull him out.
Yeah. So for that first round, I don't think you would start to smother yet. Matthias, how about you make another sanity test to see if you're able to calm down?
I made that one.
Okay, so now you're calming down a little bit. So we'll say that's your action for that turn. It's just calming down and getting yourself centered. Arthur, can you make another strength test?
Got it.
Success?
Yep.
All right, so you're able to tunnel down about 10 feet. You haven't found him yet, but you're making progress at least. Matthias, make a strength test now that you've calmed down to tunnel up. Because you have this rope to help you, so you can tunnel and pull and dig and try to get yourself up.
Talking about the rope, I gave the rope to Kat and told her to hold that damn rope.
She's got it around her waist then, and she's anchoring and trying to help pull.
Good.
I made it.
All right. So with the combined efforts of both of you, those 2 successes, and you were already part way up when it collapsed. You're able to pull Matthias out of the snow before he really starts to smother and suffocate. So eventually, you're pulling and digging, and you see his hand. His hand gets free. You grab his hand, and you pull and dig, and eventually his head comes up, and he takes that gasp of air. And you're able to struggle and pull each other up out of that hole. And you both just kind of collapse on the snow, exhausted.
Oh man, don't do that again.
Well, that sucked. I'd rather not.
I pass him my cigar. There. That's good.
That's not going to make it better.
No, it's going to calm you down, though.
I'm pretty calm right now. That's not going to make it better.
Suit yourself.
So it's about 9 o'clock. This is a pretty good spot to take an intermission. So do you guys want to take like a 5-minute intermission? Does that sound okay?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, hit the washroom, grab a drink, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So did any of that music come through in the opening or no?
Yeah, I
No.
got it was Dracula, Bram Stoker Dracula.
Was it too loud or no?
Not too loud. The problem is, there's some peaks in that
Yes.
particular tune, so
Yes.
some part was maybe just a little bit too much.
Okay. That's Ian's trick. He just plays it in the background and
Oh,
lets
okay.
it filter through his speaker. I thought that would cause distortion, but it didn't when he did it.
Oh, it was not that bad. Just saying that some parts were just like too high and maybe was getting over your voice a little bit too much.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm ready to go.
And I think Renee's there already also.
Are you back, Renee?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can get back into it. So
Yeah, let's do it.
when we left our daring heroes, or in this case, our terrified victims, they were stranded in the remote Himalayas of Sogdia in a snow-covered valley, having just escaped from their buried train car, buried in an avalanche, derailed, rolled down the mountainside, and now they're on the surface. Dawn is breaking, and they have a chance at survival, but only a chance. So we've dug out poor Matthias from the snow, and looking around now, you can see that tunnel mysteriously dug down into the snow by some inhuman hand is not the only tunnel that seems to lead down into the wreck. There are several more clawed down into the snow with those strange large talons. And moreover, you see human footprints as well. It looks like some of your fellow passengers have come up either through their own tunnel or one dug by those strange creatures, perhaps. As you see the footprints, and they seem to congregate and then lead off down the valley.
You say the footprints they congregate and go down the valley. Is that only human footprints, or those kind of weird creatures or something that also go that way?
It appears to be just the human footprints, but make a track and or spot test.
Got it. Track.
All right. And you as well, Matthias, make a spot or track test to see what you're able to discern around you.
Okay. I made it very, very well.
Perfect. Actually, I'll probably get both. I'll probably get. I definitely want at least one spot test, and then.
I did spot hidden.
Yeah, I did track.
Yeah, so make a spot test as well, Samuel.
Got it as well.
Perfect. So yeah, starting with the immediate area, you do see perhaps a few of the taloned footprints around those holes, but you don't see any real trails from these creatures, presumably. So you're not sure where they came from or where they went to. But those human tracks, you're able to read fairly clearly. It looks like they came up out of one of the holes, and they kind of congregated and then marched off down the valley.
Okay.
Looking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Looking in that direction, you're both able to see actually on a far peak, something that looks like a structure high up on the mountain. It looks like the human footprints led off towards this structure. It's quite far away. Maybe you would have missed it if not for the footprints leading in that direction. But it's a white square outline. It's too square, too uniform to be a boulder or a rock outcropping or snow. But it's so distant, you have a hard time telling what it is other than a white square on the otherwise also largely white mountainside.
Okay. First off, I'm gonna get a part of kind of try to rip off a little bit of my shirt and put it on the branch to show location, kind of a flag, if you will. Take some other pieces that I can get on the ground and make a big arrow to show people like this way if someone else comes out. But I'm also thinking while I'm doing that, since I don't see tracks for the talons going anywhere, and since I already said that those talons seems to be those like birds, I'm gonna be keeping an eye up as I go, and I'm also telling that to Matthias to be aware of the skies just in case.
What's
Okay,
Matthias is
I'll definitely be aware of up as well as around.
Yeah, around as well, but to keep an eye up. Usually we're just to look around and not up, so just to be sure.
Yep.
Yeah, don't see those tracks for those talons anywhere. Maybe we should keep an eye up, just in case.
all right. And Katrina looks very worried at that suggestion. You know, she's paranoid. She's looking up around. There are still a lot of silver clouds hanging. It's very overcast. You know, so she's quite concerned by that idea.
Yeah, don't worry, doll. I'm just talking about birds.
And fortunately, perhaps for her, she doesn't really seem to understand the footprints, the talon prints. You know, she's not able to recognize exactly what's going on. So she's not that panicked, but she's certainly in a state of fear.
I mean, look on the bright side, Katrina. You're not buried anymore.
She nods, and she's concerned. Where's the track, the railroad? We should find it, follow it.
I look up the hill from where we are to see if we can see something like tracks or somewhere that would be flat, that we would expect where the tracks would be. Do we see anything?
Look, it is a steep sloped valley that you're in. You're pretty sure you know which ridge you fell off of based on
we're down the valley.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not sure exactly. Okay.
You're pretty sure, based on the orientation of the train, your tracking ability, you're pretty sure you know which slope you rolled off of. It's a very steep hill, though, very steep angle. It would be very difficult to climb up to get back to the tracks. And it looks like it's at least 100 feet up. So that's an option, or it's an option to go around that mountainside and try to get up there, find a smoother slope. But the footprints go off in a different direction, as I said, towards that structure on the side.
Leading away.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think, pal? Should we follow those people or try to get back on track?
I think that looking to see who else made it out would be a good idea.
Okay.
Because the slope just doesn't look like something that I'd be able to do, much less Katrina and the kid here.
Yeah, I agree. But I do not like the fact that these people are going away from what civilized vestige we could have around here. The only thing we see is that building over there, and
Well,
that's kind of weird.
the way I see it is they were trying to get away from danger, you know. So it makes sense when you're stressed out to look for the nearest place that looks safe and to go there.
Yeah, of course. Beside, the more people we got, the better our chance of survival.
Exactly. That's why I think it's best if we go that way and try and find those people.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Katrina's like, she agrees with you that we should follow them, but she looks at the sky. It's only dawn. How did they see the structure in the dark?
Well, there might be lights. That might be why they saw it. That's probably exactly why they saw it in the dark with lights. We just got lucky. And Katrina, I got a job for you. Gotta make sure that this kid goes well. Make sure he's attended for, take care of him. Kind of being stressed a lot about what happened, so try to ease his mind as much as you can. Okay? Thanks, doll.
She nods.
Well, basically, the plan here is to get her mind off all this and have her focus on the kid, so she's not much of a problem about panicking and trying to see things that she should not see and stuff like that. Well, she'll have something to do, so I give her this job.
Absolutely. So you guys start following these footprints down the valley. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. And it is a winding mountainous valley, so you don't have a great line of sight. The tracks wind around the side of a mountain coming up. So you're trekking, you're walking through, the sun is rising up in the sky, and it's maybe around noon. So several hours of trekking that you see, in the distance, what looks to be like a camp, perhaps, following that trail forward.
Okay, while we're doing that, sorry for cutting you. Arthur is trying to figure out how far ahead they could be, considering the time we were in the train, the time we took to get out. They should not be very far ahead of us.
Yeah, now it was just around nightfall, slightly after nightfall, that you were derailed, and it's now just after dawn.
Oh, okay, so we passed the night in the train.
Yeah, because you were knocked unconscious for a length of time after the derailment. But you're right; they shouldn't be tremendously far ahead of you, anyways. So you figure they must have left pretty soon after they got out. Which indicates, maybe they didn't tunnel out. Maybe it was that tunnel created by these creatures that they followed up. Because human tunneling takes longer than apparently these creatures are able to tunnel. All that hypothetical, but it makes a certain amount of sense based on the evidence. So yeah, you're thinking something tunneled down. People were able to follow the tunnel up. They almost immediately must have set out, probably marched all night or close to it. And that's why you think you're able to find their campsite around, for you, noon. For them, they probably pitched this campsite around dawn as they were exhausted. At least that's what makes sense to you based on what you're able to observe at this time. Sound good?
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem. I'm just
Yeah.
conflicted with my my personal survival skills that tells me to stay the fuck there, make a camp, and wait for a backup. But
Absolutely. And yeah, so you see this campsite. It looks like there's some like one tent and maybe a lean-to, probably scavenged from the train. So someone had a tent. That's good. And there's also a lean-to that's been built. It looks like they made some effort to put snow bankings around it to kind of act as a windbreak and give them some more structural support, especially for that lean-to. And as you're getting closer, you realize there's no smoke rising from the camp. You don't see any people moving around. And, it's getting larger and closer. And you see it's only a few structures. Like I said, two, really. A small tent and that lean-to. And eventually you come upon it, and it seems deserted. It's empty. Then you realize that the tent looks like it's been torn open from the rear. Looking inside, you see a mangled corpse on the ground, torn open, just like that victim inside the train car. Looking, there's footprints all over the campsite, which are to be expected, but a few of them just trail off into the snow as if they fled the campsite.
well, is it a running pace or walking pace?
It looks like a running pace to you, as if at least two people ran off in different directions from the campsite.
One last question. How many people were we following? Because we could, by the tracks, figure out how many of them, plus minus maybe one or two person, but normally we could probably guess how many of them made it this way.
Based on the tracks, you would guess you're following the trail of 4 to 6 people, give or take. You found the one corpse, and there's 2 footprints, 2 trails heading off, but there are no other corpses in the camp. So at least one person seems unaccounted for in the campsite.
No blood trace?
Well, there's a lot of blood from that individual who was ripped up.
But somewhere else around the camp, no blood?
There are a few splatters of blood here and there. There's actually one imprint. It's like a bloody snow angel where someone seems to have been pressed down into the snow and torn apart. There's blood all over the place. There's an outline of his back, but there's no corpse. There's no body. There are a few splotches, but there's no trail where he was dragged. It's as if he were killed, ripped up, then picked up and carried away. But to where you're not sure. The trail just kind of muddies into the rest of the chaos of the campsite, and the corpse is gone. So unless one of those 2 running people were running with a corpse on their back, which doesn't make any sense, unless it's a very...
Yeah, and we would see blood in their tracks as well.
Yeah. So it doesn't make a huge amount of sense.
I take Matthias away from the woman and the kid, and I ask Kat,
"Hey, Kat, you know what to do a fire?"
She's looking at all this, and she's like almost panicked. What happened?
I take her by the chin, and I turn her face toward me, look her straight in the eye.
"Kat, make a fire, please, over there. All right? We'll figure this out."
All right, so she's trying to, get focused, make a fire, Make a fire. I'll make a fire. I'll make a. And she goes off and she's trying to get a fire started.
So I take Matisse aside.
Shit. That's not good.
No, really?
What do you make of this?
I mean, it looks like something attacked the camp and some people ran away.
Yeah, but someone's missing. And there's no tracks. That's not normal. Unless that person can fly. I don't think an angel came here to bring him straight to heaven.
Well, I just don't know what to make of that. Because honestly, this is so far out of my realm of experience that I just don't know what to make of it, you know?
Yeah. Me neither. That's weird. Well, keep an eye on the kid and the girl. I'm gonna check something.
I go to the spot where we see the blood angel in the snow, and I look at the mountain to see where the building is, and I start walking this way slowly, looking at the ground to see if there's no blood drips on going this way.
All right. Make a spot or track test. And maybe plus 10 because of the snowy situation.
No problem. I got it.
Success?
Yep, by a lot.
So yeah, standing at the edge of the campsite, looking out and kind of, looking around, you think you see a splotch and walking out over the pristine snow that hasn't been disturbed. You walk out about 10 feet, you find a big splotch of blood and look around and you think maybe another 5 feet, there's another splotch of blood, as if something has been dripping blood. So presumably your theory is something carried the corpse through the air.
Yeah, so my assessment was right. Now the direction is it the direction I expected going
Yes.
forward? Okay. I go back, take Matthias by the arm and drag him to the side.
We're not going that way. That's bad.
What makes you think so?
Well, see, I've tracked some blood going in that direction, but only blood, no tracks. So whatever happened here, that corpse went that way, up there. So unless you want to know exactly what happened and meet whatever the crap did that, I suggest we get the fuck out of here.
I guess I'll take your word for it.
Well, I drag him toward my findings, by the way. I drag you there so you can see what I'm talking about.
Now, see those spots on the ground? There's some over there as well. It's all going that way. Now, you want to climb that mountain now?
I mean, I don't know if I can, but at this point, we don't really have much choice.
Well, we can try to find a better slope, something that would be easier for all of us to get up, but I suggest we go a different way. Like, not this way, go maybe the other side. Might be a good idea.
Yeah, your evidence is pretty conclusive that that way is bad. So let's try and see what we can salvage out of maybe finding another way up the mountain.
All right. We'll camp here for now. get lunch, and get going. Now keep your eyes on the sky.
And I had my rifle on my shoulder, take it out, make sure it has a bullet, and always keep it by my side.
All right. And yeah, it's about noon when you find the camp. So you've got about 6 hours of daylight, give or take. Remember, it's a steep valley, so the sun disappears quickly just because it's going behind the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So is your plan to camp overnight at this site?
No, we're just getting lunch. And then we get the fuck out.
Okay.
Or camp somewhere else. Try to see if we can salvage something else. Maybe part of the tent could be used or something like that.
Yeah, the lean-to can definitely be salvaged, and there's a lot of supplies that the survivors had taken from the train. So a lot of food and warm clothes. There's some
Okay. I get a couple
sleeping bag.
Yeah, I get a couple of big long branches or maybe some broken trees or something like that. Not too big, something we can carry. Try to makeshift a little
A sledge.
kind of a
thing.
sledge, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can drag our stuff, and we're gonna have a job for a cat and a kid.
So yeah, maybe using some tent poles and some
Yeah,
canvas.
tent poles, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just dragging it over snow, so there's not a lot of friction. So that's good.
Yeah, it's just to carry the stuff so we don't have big bags and stuff like that.
But yeah, Kat is able to find some like instant soup, and she gets like there's like a little cooking pot or cauldron, and she's able to make you guys some nice broth, and you're munching crackers and maybe some jerky. So you're able to have a fairly substantial lunch, and Kat is making sure that the child is eating. She's trying to talk to the kid, but he's still catatonic. He's not speaking. He is eating, but he's really glazed over. So what's the mood at this lunch? The Kat's very nervous, but surely the soup will lift your spirits and warm you quite a bit.
Yeah, and the fire as well will warm us for the time being. Pretty stressed and anxious about what could be happening and what should we be looking for, and stay on my guard all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not far from the others, never.
What about Matthias? What's his mentality like at this point?
So I think that, I'd be a little concerned about our well-being, considering that the last people that were here sort of disappeared. But overall, I'm alive, so I've got that to be thankful for. Mostly, it's just kind of a like, well, this situation kind of sucks.
That's an understatement.
All right, so you guys eat, and then you said you're going to march back the way you came and try to get up to the train tracks. Is that correct?
Yeah, try to find a easier way toward the tracks.
All right. So yeah, it took you most of the morning to get to where you are. So it'll take you most of the afternoon to get back to the wreckage, if you will, the buried train cars and such. So the sun will just kind of be dipping behind the mountains as you're coming back to those train cars. Is your plan to march through the night, or are you going to try to maybe find shelter in those train cars? What's your plan?
I would say that probably our best bet is to avoid the train cars because it was a hassle to get out. We could probably just build some sort of makeshift tent up here, and then we're still in the vicinity of the train, but we're not in the train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking around, do we see some because there's a lot of snow since there was an avalanche. But is there anywhere where we could at least have our back to something solid like a rock or a cliff face or something? Even better if it's a little hollow, so we can get in to minimize the chance of having something get on our head or something like that.
Sure. Make a spot or luck test to try to find such a hollow or even a cave, perhaps.
I got luck.
Success?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, you're able to find just trying to think which would be better. Let's say you're able to find a cave, and it has a little bit of an overhang, and it's just a small cave that goes back. It seems to be pretty shallow. It's not a very deep cave. There are maybe a few cracks and crevasses at the back, nothing a person could really fit through. But the actual area that a human-sized organism could occupy is pretty small and contained. So do you want to probably go into this cave, build a fire inside?
Well, I'll discuss this with the rest of the survivals. I suggest we make camp there.
So, what do you think, pal?
I don't see why not. It seems relatively safe.
Yeah, that's probably the safest bet. You go ahead with Cat and the kid, and I'm gonna get some wood. I have an idea.
So I try to find as much branches I can take, maybe that big.
I'm not thinking there are really any trees around.
Nope.
You can scavenge wood from the wreck of the train.
Well,
There's bound.
We'll do that if I can find as much poles as I can. I'll try to make kind of a fence or at least spikes that pull out if something comes, whether a wolf, a bear, or anything. At least hinder the progress toward the cave so we can defend ourselves.
All right. And do you build the fire in the mouth of the cave or farther back into the cave?
I would suggest maybe halfway between those two. So it's enough inside to keep the warmth of the fire inside the cave to warm us, but not deep enough so we breathe only smoke.
Yeah. All right. So you've got your little palisade, some sharpened stakes posted around the cave mouth. You've got the fire going. Cat has got the fire going.
And
probably made some more soup.
I know that whatever is probably coming from up there. So most of the spikes are like this as much as possible. Not too much this way, but more that way. So if something tried to land, it's gonna have to figure out a way to get in without getting itself impaled.
Sounds good.
And I bring a couple of those inside, like so we can have spears and stuff to be able to defend ourselves during the night.
Sounds good. What about Matthias? Are you making any preparations, or what's Matthias doing while Arthur is fortifying this cave?
Yeah, military man.
I'm gonna be helping Kat and the kid just like make supper and all that upkeep sort of stuff.
Well, there's a lot to do because we have to do the fire. We have to make a place to rest, make sure that everything is fine while I do the defenses.
Sounds good. And yeah, as this is all happening, the sun is already fairly low. Twilight starts to fall. You've got your sleeping bags. You've got the lean-to inside the cave. Even it can add a little bit of extra heat. So as night is falling,
Just a little detail, due to survival training that my character has, the opening of the cave, we tried to put stuff to reflect the heat inside that would as well block some of the light of the fire coming out. So
Yeah.
it's not just open air like this.
yeah, even a snowbank can help that. Just build up a little wall of snow, put spikes in the top. Even that, yeah, will help. The snow is a fairly good insulator, actually.
Yeah, definitely it is. But like I said, it's just to remind you that it's not the light from the fire is not just open there, open wide, and everybody just see it from everywhere. We try to cover it a little bit so we can reflect the heat inside, and it serves as well to cover the light.
Absolutely. So you guys are like sitting down to your meal, with the cat still very nervous. All these preparations, the defenses, only seem to make her more nervous. Like she's afraid to ask what you think is out there, and her imagination is running wild.
Hey, cat, don't worry.
There are big bears around here,
But I can shoot them down. That's why I did that.
Now she's worried about flying bears, perhaps some kind of owl bear creature. Uh, ridiculous as that may sound. But yeah, you're eating your meal. The sun is dipping behind the mountains. It's gone very quickly from twilight to darkness. And as you're eating, sipping your broth, munching on those biscuits you salvaged, you all hear, this time fairly clearly, that trilling noise, that strange sonorous singing, and it kind of echoes through the valley. It almost sounds like an a cappella, like many voices carrying the same weird tune, and they are almost not human voices. And Kat looks up. You all hear it, the noise, and she looks up into the darkness, wondering what could that be, this strange sound. And it's almost then that maybe you notice far off, there's just a flickering of light. Just a speck of light appears on the mountainside. And you think you can see that structure far off on the other side of the valley, illuminated as if there's a bonfire that's been kindled there in the darkness. And you're wondering, is this the light that drew the other survivors to their doom? What has kindled that fire on the mountainside, unexplored by humankind for so long? What could that structure be, far off away in the cold darkness? Make spot tests as well as you're looking out of this cave into the black of night.
got it. Success.
Success for me as well.
Okay. And as you're looking out, you think you can see forms moving against that faraway bonfire, as if people or creatures are dancing around that bonfire. Something's moving in front of the light and then away again. And then you could both swear to it that those tiny specks, they seem to move up into the sky, away from that light, as if distant figures taking flight. So presumably, you guys are kind of keyed up. You've been awake now for like 24 hours, your characters. But I can't imagine you'd be really ready to get any sleep at this point.
Oh no.
I mean, obviously, the whole fact that we've been up for 24 hours is making me tired and sluggish and whatnot. But you're right; it definitely isn't something that I'd want to fall asleep to.
Now I'm trying to remember how the initiative system works in Call of Cthulhu.
It's
I
by
believe
decks.
it's just the highest dex goes first. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So what are your dexterity scores?
50.
50.
50? You're both at 50?
Yeah.
Okay. 50 sounds good. Just in case it matters.
That's not ominous at all.
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna ask you what's your initiative, just like that. No reason.
And it's not long after you think that you see those figures fly up into the sky, the wind starts to pick up. That trilling sound is heard again, and snow starts to fall outside. The wind grows stronger and louder. The fire is flickering, although it's in no danger of going out. It's a very large fire, I'd presume, that you built. But the snow is going, and it's starting to storm. It's a most sudden storm, similar to the one that was a precursor to your derailing. You almost wonder, did we come around a mountain into a storm in progress, or did that storm appear suddenly, like this one is? Is something controlling the weather in this faraway pass? But you're looking out into the snow, and the visibility has dropped tremendously. And the light you're going by, it's a flickering firelight. It casts strange shadows, especially with those big spikes you've put up. Their shadows go out into the darkness, reflecting off the blowing snow. So there's a real air of tension there as you're looking out. You think that you can see figures moving in the snow, prowling around just at the edge of vision, at the edge of that light. Do you take any action, or do you wait to see if that really is something, or if it could possibly be an illusion?
I make sure I have my rifle is loaded and ready to fire. Take the safety off, but just wait and see. Get my back against the wall and just wait.
I mean, I'd be checking my gun as well. I'm not as versed in it as my friend here, but mostly, it's a small handgun. So what can I really do?
All right, so you're both kind of waiting until you have a real target before you discharge anything, correct?
Yes.
And I make sure Cat has a spear to poke something that would come through, come close or something like that.
All right. I'm almost thinking maybe she's also salvaged a handgun. So she's found.
If she has a gun, that's even better.
Yeah, I'm thinking she managed to find a pistol, maybe in the campsite. Maybe a pistol that's been discharged several times. But she's reloaded it and kind of wonder what were the other survivors shooting at in their campsite. So she has a revolver, let's say. But as you think that you see these figures in the darkness moving around, prowling at the edge of sight, you again hear that strange trilling noise. Can I get you guys to make a power test?
Easy.
All right, success. And yourself, Matthias?
I failed.
All right. So as this trilling is heard again. You know, and each time that you've heard it, you've tried to grasp the melody behind it, but it's just the edge of hearing almost. You just hear this snatch and then it's gone. It's a part of a tune without any conclusion. And Arthur, you know, you hear it again, but you feel compelled, you feel so curious to hear the rest of it, to get closer so that you can know, you know, how this song goes, what is singing it. And Matthias, it's almost like a supernatural compulsion at this point. You can hear this song just outside the firelight, and you're almost drawn to it. And you could see Katrina is also deeply affected. You know, you could see her leaning forward, listening, almost half singing to herself as she tries to understand the melody. So you both feel very drawn to that sound. What's Matthias's thought or action in regards to that?
If I'm drawn to it, I would sort of start taking a step like out of the cave kind of thing, not actually stepping out of the cave, but like starting to walk in that direction.
All right. So Matthias has stood up. You know, presumably you guys were sitting or crouched. He stood up. He's looking out. He's maybe taking a step. Arthur, what's your reaction to this? You see him and Katrina. They're both entranced. What's your reaction?
Okay, I see that. I'm quite surprised.
Well, you feel the lure of this
feel the
song.
lure, but I resisted it.
Yes.
So what I do, since they're entranced, I try to break that connection they could have with the song with two things.
Mhm.
First thing, I shoot at the first shadow that I see.
Mhm.
Whether it's a creature or not, I don't care. I just shoot, reload, and I start singing a military song. You know, the sing-alongs we have, and I sing as loud as I can and say, like, come on, guys, sing with me.
All right. So I'm thinking you start. Let's do it this way. You start by singing, and then you fire. Let's do it that way.
Okay, we'll do it
But
that way.
make a
I
luck
would have
test.
done it other way because the gunshot would have just break their concentration on the other song and
Yeah.
just
Well,
and then
the gunshot will trigger something, but I
okay.
still want to get the singing in. So let's
Yeah,
start
I
with
know
the
I'm
singing.
provoking an avalanche. Okay, I didn't want to shoot, but fuck.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of an avalanche. That's a great idea.
I've been thinking about that for the beginning. Don't do any fucking noise, but
Yeah.
I got to save my people.
So
So I
make
start to sing and shoot.
make a luck test though on that shot to see if you actually hit anything.
I got it. Flush, but I got it. Yeah, pretty close, but got it.
All right. So yeah, you start singing, then you fire into the darkness. As soon as that shot rings out, probably three things happen. The first thing that you all take note of, the kid springs to his feet and he sprints off towards that siren song. Katrina's
Okay.
too entranced to grab at the child, but the kid is sprinting off. The second thing that happens is you hear a scream in the darkness, a horrible, inhuman screech in the exact spot where you just fired at what you thought was a shadow, but the shadow seems to reel and screech and withdraw away from the light. And the third thing that happens is the volume of the song decreases markedly, but it doesn't end. And remember, it's almost like an a cappella. It's many voices or many instruments acting at once. But now it seems almost as if one of those has stopped. So the kid is like rushing out. So he's just about out of the firelight before you guys can act. I will get Matthias to probably make another power test at +10, just to see if that gunshot snapped him out of it.
Success.
Perfect. So yeah, the kid is running out, but you guys have initiative. You have an action before he completely disappears into the blizzard. So do one of you run and try to tackle the kid, or do you just let him go?
Well,
Since I like started to walk out already, I would say
You
that
would-
I'd be a little closer.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was going to say. It's probably closer than me because I was concentrating on getting some other sounds out, and he just rushed by, and I shot. So
Mhm.
he's probably closer and more in a position to do something. I don't want to shoot a kid.
I'm gonna see if I can catch the kid before he gets out of the cave.
All right. Make a fighting or other relevant martial art type test to tackle the running child.
Make it.
Success?
I did not make it.
Did not.
Ah, fuck.
All right. So the kid is running. You leap to try to tackle or grab him, but he just slips out of your hand. Now it is still your initiative because you and Arthur are tied. So Arthur, if you want, you can also try to restrain the child here, perhaps leaping over Matthias.
Okay, I'm gonna try to grab the kid.
Okay.
Oh no.
So you both run. You try to grab the kid. He just sprints off into the snow, and you almost see one of those moving shadows in the darkness, and the child is running directly towards it, and it seems to spread and open as if wings are opening, and then they enfold the child, and you hear for the first time the voice of the child as you hear him scream in the darkness. And then, yeah, we'll come back around. So, Arthur, you were motioning as if you want to try to take a shot. So we'll come back around to your initiative. It looks like something has got the kid out there in the darkness. You can't quite see. You think you see a shape of wings. What do you do?
I shoot.
All right.
I shoot
roll.
the shadow, not the kid, of course.
Yeah, roll luck or shooting, whichever you prefer.
Got it.
Don't miss.
I got it.
Success?
Yep.
All right.
I'm the lucky bastard.
You're very lucky. So yeah, firing. There's another one of those shrieks that rings out. The siren song has stopped at this point, but that shriek rings out. You could hear the kid yelling and screaming. You could see the shape of the wings batting wildly, stumbling. You think you see the child struggling there in the blowing snow and blizzard. Matthias, do you take any action? It's your initiative.
Well, I shot
So-
at the shadow to that the kids was running to, right?
Yeah. Well, the kid had already been enfolded, but
Okay.
it seems like you hit the monster, not the child, because you heard the creature
Right.
scream and shriek. The kid is trying to fight and get free, but Matthias, is your action.
Yeah, so they're way out in the darkness, right? It's a good ways away.
They're within a move of you. They're only like 30 feet away. But it's very low visibility. That's why you only can kind of see shadows and outlines. Because
Yeah.
remember, all you have is a bonfire behind you. There's a snowbank blocking some of that light, and it's heavy snow and wind in front. So it's very low visibility, but it's not actually that far away.
Well, I'm gonna stay in the safety of the cave, and I'm gonna just yell out, "Hey, kid, come on back!"
All right.
I'm still singing, by the way.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to roll for the kid to try to break free and get back. So you can see the child struggling, but and you hear the child scream again, but then you see those wings start to flap, and the child, his screaming starts to come from higher up, and it fades away. And you think that the child has been pulled away, and the creature has flown off with the child. It's probably at that point that Katrina will start screaming, and she'll run out into the darkness and start shooting up into the air, trying to save the child. So I'm going to make a test for her. And she's just running out and screaming, "No, no!" and firing into the darkness to no apparent effect. And then we'll come back to Arthur.
Okay, I tried to grab Katrina's coat and pull her in, so she does not get too much outside the cave, so she can be in the protection of the deepest part of the cave as possible. I pull her in and clearly throw her inside the cave.
All right. So that doesn't require a test. She's not hard to grapple. She's standing prone, essentially, not moving. So yeah, you grab her, you start to drag her back in, but you've stepped out a little bit out of the firelight at that point. Matthias, you're watching this, and you could see another shadow kind of rushing out of the darkness towards Arthur and Katrina. What do? You have your pistol in hand?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot at the shadow.
All right, roll shooting.
If I can find it. There it is. I made it. Barely, but I made it.
Perfect. So roll damage. And if you don't know what your damage is, I can look it up for the gun.
D10.
It's a
Perfect.
D10, yeah.
4 damage.
All right, so you hear another shriek, a scream. The figure stops. It almost seems to flap there. There's a moment where you seem to see through the snow. The light seems to catch against it. You see this almost humanoid form, these glaring red eyes, this hooked beak covered in ratty black gray feathers, and these taloned hands with huge black wings. It's illuminated. Yes, and it's illuminated just for a second. Most hideous shape there. And indeed, you can't help but wonder, is this the harpy of Greek myth in the flesh? More horrifying, perhaps, than the myth. But it's only for a second, and then it reels back into the darkness. And Arthur, you're able to pull Katrina into the cave. I'm thinking at that point, they have their victim, and there's this tense moment. You're watching the cave mouth, and the blizzard, the snow, kind of starts to die out. The wind comes to a stop slowly, and soon you get the feeling that whatever attack, whatever siege was placed upon you has ended, at least for the evening.
Well, that could have been a lot worse.
That could have been better as well.
Yeah, it could have been, but I mean, we're still here, so that's a plus.
What's Katrine Katrina's state of mind right now?
She's just crying. She's sobbing and hugging you. She's fired all of the rounds from her pistol, but she's just in despair. And
All right, sweetie. Reload that gun right now. We might need it.
I reload mine as well. I put back the cartridge I used just to be sure that I'm full.
How do you guys pass the rest of the night? The assault does not resume. Do you end up staying up all night, or at some point do you set watch and try to have someone stay awake?
All right. I think we can pretty much say that when the snows come, they come as well. And when they start singing, they come as well. So I think we could maybe have someone guard while the others sleep and then switch so we can get a little bit of rest. And as soon as you see just one freaking snowflake fall, you wake everybody up.
I mean, seems reasonable. So let's do that.
So you set watch. Maybe the watch stays awake. Maybe he falls asleep. He's been awake 24 hours. So would not surprise me, especially with the adrenaline letdown as the hours pass by.
I'll take first watch, and I keep singing to myself. Just to be sure I stay awake. I keep singing again and again and again.
You do realize that'll make it harder for the rest of us to sleep, right?
Yeah, but I won't fall asleep.
I think being awake for 24 hours, and having all this stress and terror and marching through the snow, I don't think getting to sleep will be a big trouble. But the night does pass actually very peacefully. Dawn eventually breaks. The assault is not resumed. Do you guys make any action towards that distant structure to try to rescue anyone? Or
my gun doesn't shoot far enough. That would be my action, but it's unreasonable.
Or are you guys kind of saying, okay, the kid is dead, everybody's dead but us, and we don't want to join them?
Losses and go kind of thing.
Is that's your attitude for both your characters?
Well, the attitude of my character is, well, he's gone.
Yeah.
We don't know what took it. What took it that we saw is impossible, but it happened. I'm not testing my luck. He's gone. Too bad. Fuck it.
Katrina might not like that attitude.
Well,
yeah, but I'm a soldier. I don't care. I lost friends before. Well, I do care, but I mean, I lost friends before, so that's it. I mean, it's either that or we might all die. So the choice is easy. We lose one guy, we save the rest of the troops, or we might lose everybody. So I'm not going back that way.
Yeah, I'm firmly on the let's stay alive train.
That's a good train to be on. Unlike the one that you were riding.
No kidding.
While I was doing my watch, my character tried to remember, was there a tunnel for the train close by that we passed?
I'm going to say that wouldn't make a lot of sense given the area. So I'm going to say no.
Okay. That would have been an easy place to defend.
Yeah, if this were the Rocky Mountains or the Alps, then yes. But I can't see anybody blasting a tunnel in the remote Himalayas. It's just too expensive, unfortunately.
That's fair. Just a question.
Yeah. So Katrina is definitely advocating. He might still be alive. We have to save him.
You
She-
barely made it out alive. So he might still be alive, but we're gonna get some backup first, then come back. I'm not going there with the few of us. There's only 3 of us. We can't take that on. Can you take that chance? I don't think so. We'll come back, but with backup.
All right. Well, she seems pacified for the moment, but you can tell it does not sit well with her to abandon anyone to the harpies, which is apparently what you're dealing with. So let me ask, how do you guys pass that next day? Do you climb around up to the tracks and try to make your way along the tracks, or do you really fortify this position and just wait for rescue?
I'd say a scouting mission would be a good idea, just to like get a general idea of like the terrain and what's going on.
When the avalanche happened the first time, it was after sundown, right?
Yeah, just after sundown. Yes.
Just after sundown. So yeah, a scouting mission might be a good idea, but not go too far. Just
Alright, we're
we
doing
should
that.
just be we should be back like a few hours before sundown, and
Okay.
keep fortifying the cave. If we are to come back here, I would say we fortify it and wait for someone to save us.
All right. So that day, yeah, you scout around. You find a traversable path up to the tracks. You find, in fact, where the tracks continue their path through the mountains. So you certainly have that trail now that you can follow. But yeah, if you pass another night in that cave, let me ask: do you set Katrina on a watch, or do you two share the watch without her?
I'd
I
say
would
that Katrina on a watch right now is not a good idea.
exactly. That's like no way in
Okay.
hell.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm thinking that keeping watch, on Katrina to make sure she doesn't do anything stupid, try to go out and rescue the kid, as you're very suspicious she might try to do if you set her on her own watch. We can basically narrate at this point through and say you're able to hold out to be rescued, or you're able to traverse and get back either to civilization or at least meet up with the rescue party. Does that sound acceptable?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right. So yes, you're rescued from the mountains of Malice eventually, and as you are an anthropologist and as we have a scholar, and as you promised Katrina, you get together, some hardened men, you head through that valley eventually. You find that structure, and it appears to be a temple of Nike dedicated by Alexander the Great when he traveled through the Himalayas, when he was driven back in his pursuit of the outer ocean, which of course we know doesn't exist, but he didn't know that. The Himalayas stopped him. They stopped him here. And perhaps something supernatural stopped him. At that temple, you find the statue of winged victory, this beautiful female figure with the angelic wings spread out. But you also find human bones, the remains of grisly feasting, as if from some great bird of prey. There's guano and refuse covering the site. These mysterious, huge black feathers, and many artifacts from the days of Alexander, but no trace of the supposed creatures is ever found, at least by your expedition, you can't help but wonder, perhaps they lay waiting and watching, and once you leave, they may reclaim this nesting site. Do you guys have anything to add to that, or anything you want to epilogue over this session?
No, I'm good with that.
Yeah, my author is gonna take some notes and try to figure out what the hell happened there. But that's pretty much it.
All right. So thanks, guys. I think we had some good, tense excitement and some scary scenes. Of course, I didn't want it to degenerate into, hack and slash combat at the end. So we had our encounter with the monster, and we shot a couple of them, and that's about all we need from a horror scenario.
Yeah, just a question. The morning after the attack, did we see traces of blood from those creatures?
That's an excellent point. I've forgotten about that, but yes, you do find blood and feathers and the claw prints, as they clearly had been prowling around the edge of that firelight. Although it's obscured a lot by the wind and the blizzard, but you do find some claw prints too.
I keep a couple of feathers as a memento, but also as kind of an artifact to something weird that happened.
Absolutely. And how does this affect, do you think, Matthias going forward? How does this affect his vacation?
Well, he definitely he definitely stays away from the snow.
Might I suggest next time that you go to Morocco? No snow there.
All right, and I think Samuel, you're hoping to use this.
Oh hell yeah!
Going forward, so remember to mention the black feathers that he has from his encounter in the Himalayas.
Oh, it's on his hat now. He's gonna put them on his hat. A couple of, maybe one or two.
But feathers macaroni.
So we're probably going to end the broadcast here. Do you guys have anything to plug? Do you have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or a DeviantArt or anything you want to plug to our viewing audience? We had 2 viewers during this presentation.
Oh, nice.
We may even get more later.
Well, I, for one, want to plug myself. Samuel Richard. I'm up and starting author. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you just have to look for Chronicles of a Fractured World. I'm at my first book. Eventually, it's going to be published, I expect, next spring, and there's going to be a second one and a third one at least in the series. There will probably be more than that if I'm successful, because I have a lot of ideas. But if you want to keep in touch, see how far I'm up in my story and how it goes, feel free to follow me. Chronicles of a Fractured World. Pretty easy to find on Facebook.
Perfect. And what about you, Renee?
I've got nothing to plug, so I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks to our viewing audience. We hope to have more viewers next week. Friday Night Cthulhu every Friday in October.
I'll be there.
And yes, starring Samuel Richards, the famous author of the Chronicles of the Fractured World.
Well, not famous yet, but hopefully eventually I will.
So we'll end the broadcast there. Thank you to our viewers, and we're off YouTube.